Hey there, everyone. Welcome to this pre-show. Welcome to Tech Condo. Let me see if I am live. Because I'm trying something new to go live, and it is working. Cool. That is really, really cool. Welcome, everyone. I see Gregor is in the house. Welcome, Gregor. Good of you to see. Good of you to be there. And let me see. That looks great. All right, Gregor, welcome. And of course, not only Gregor, but also other people that are joining. So, what is this all about? So, today, of course, in Tech Condo, it's already December. So, that means that the cozy days of the year are coming and the presents are also coming. And in this particular day, we're going to talk about what you can expect, what is interesting maybe for you for a Christmas present. Now, I did do some pre-fetching for myself as well because let me just say, to have nice gear, that is fine, but I actually also want to have it in a way that I actually also want it myself. So that's also the way that I've structured it today. So I see that Gregor's in the house. I see Tanya is in. Welcome, Tanya. Great of you to be here. Gregor says, looks great on my iPhone 10. Ooh, Gregor, that is absolutely cool. So let me put that on the screen for a bit because that is something that I want to talk to you about. So Gregor, that is absolutely fantastic. I actually also use a iPhone 10 to monitor the comments. Actually, also the iPad, but that's a totally different story. We'll talk about that later. I see Hiram has also joined. Welcome, Hiram. Good of you to be here. Renee, welcome, Renee. Great that you are also in the house. And I see also that it's not only from Facebook, but also Amy is watching this show from YouTube. Yes, we are simulcasting both on YouTube and on Facebook. And as you can see, if you want to give some comments during the show, and that is absolutely possible. And you can see it here right down on your screen. Really great of you guys to be here, but I do miss something, and that is that I really would like to have some. Oops. Something is wrong here, but that's just me. I want to have some music, so let's do that then first. Right, we have some music that is good. Um, Let me see. Hiram also has something that he wants to talk about, and that is what should I get for Christmas? You are really asking that. Let us say that this year I have zero risk of going back to Spain. That's dot dot dot. Let me see what that is. It says. That should say a lot. Yes. So people that don't know Hiram is actually a colleague of mine. Well, it was not a colleague anymore, but we used to work together, and it was really fun. We had a blast. We were really a team, and I know that Hiram does have a kind of like a character that indeed you might be going to Spain. And actually, I want to talk about that particular subject because I'm not aware if you guys from outside of the Netherlands are actually aware of Sinterklaas, which is a Dutch version of Santa Claus. Well, there are some differences though. For instance, he does not live in the Nordic region. No, he does not. He actually lives in Spain. Yeah. He is not all by himself. He does not he doesn't have reindeer, but he has a group of people that work for him. We call them Black Pete's, and these days this is more of they are multiple colors. It's not only black, but we call them still black beets because he used to be only black, and nowadays, hey, we are modern people as well, so it can be every color that is there as well. Well, we have yellow, green, we got all kinds of different ones. So that is the reason why Hiram actually says, no, not in a bag of Zwarte Piet, which is black Pete in the English language. So that is great. I think. Oh, it is very important. It's very. A lot of people are joining as well. So Jane is asking us on Facebook, "What do you want for Christmas?" Well, I want to have a lot, but we'll talk about that during the show because I have actually what I've done is I've pre-selected what I think is going to be cool for you and also for myself. So I'm not going to say something about a product that I'm not going to buy myself. So that's something that I really want to try to make it something that is interesting for you as a viewer, but also for me as a program host or whatever you want. You know what I mean. Gregor actually has a technical question on Facebook. He asks, "Are you running this through vMix?" Well, yes and no. So this is this is not solely a vMix. Actually, the only thing that is vMix is the comments that you see. So what you're saying, your name, the Facebook icon, etc. That is indeed vMix, but it's not the only one because I still use Livestream as my switching software. And Jane says something. Let me see. I have to put it on. If you had one Christmas wish, what famous tech person would you have on your show? It's actually very easy. Look at my t-shirt. That is actually the person that I would love to have on my show. That is David Foster. He is from Geeks Life. I like the way that he does his show. I have to laugh about it. And he recently had a review on the movie of the DC movie, and he started this video that was really funny. So you have to look at it if you are a Geeks Life member as well. It is really cool. But there's a lot of other stuff going on here as well. I see Tanya is also in the house. Sorry for not seeing that comment, Tanya. I want a new Android phone with a decent camera that will survive the few drops out when hiking. Gotcha. You might want to look into the what was it again? HV30. Let me check that for you very quickly. If I'm not, if I'm correct, HV30 phone. Let me check if I'm right for you. It's an LG phone. That's what I know. LG. Let me check for you. LG phone. Let me think. Because that's a good one, I think. Mobile. Yeah. Oh yeah. LG V30. LG V30. Check that one out. I think it's something promising for you. So, Tanya. Let me see. There's a lot of another. Oh, Hiram. Oh wow. He says he would love to have Steve Wozniak in the studio. Yeah, that would be cool as well. I have to admit, that would be very, very, very cool. But I think that I'm a little bit too small for him, I think. So, so yes, Jane says, oh yes, David, indeed. Let me see if I have all the comments in there right now. Yep, I got all your comments. So before we start the show, just some other stuff. I did watch a very cool 4-parter DC, I have to admit, but it's on TV. So it's Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and I'm forgetting something. Oh, Supergirl, of course. And it was really cool. I was just finishing that up like 2 or 3 hours ago. I had like a marathon, like 3.5 hours of only doing that. That's really cool. Hiram says that he's an old guy, and I can he is not. He is not really an old guy. He may be a little bit older than I am, but hey, that is not a big deal. So let's start this show. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Tech Condo. We are live every Saturday at 9 p.m. Central European Time. That is, if you live in the UK, 8 p.m., just 1 hour less, or 3 p.m. if you live on the eastern side of the US, and at noon if you live in the western side of the US. I'm here every week apart from next week, but we'll talk about that later. I really would like to talk to you about technology, gear, video, audio, that kind of thing. That is what I really appreciate to talk about, and I also want your feedback as well, because we are actually really a part of a community. And to demonstrate that, I actually have people that are on the watching live. Like for instance, Jane, she says hi. We have multiple people that say hi. But for instance, Tanya, she says also hello. And there are so much other people that are joining this show. And just to finish up this part, I would be a really great show if you got David Foster to be a guest. Let me try to do that, Amy. Might be possible to do that at the later stage. So today we're going to talk about some cool stuff, but before that, of course, I cannot start the show without this. All right, so that is that, and welcome to the Tech Condo. My name is Petra Verbruggen. I am here, your host, community person. I don't know what you want to call it. Actually, I don't think that I am different than you guys. It's really a community feel to it, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. As you can see, my studio is a little bit different. I have a lot of gear here lined up for you, and we will be talking about that gear. But before I do that, I want to thank some people, because these people that are here below the screen are actually supporting the show, and without them, this would not be possible at all. So that is that. Unfortunately, I'm also supported by a four feeder. That is Kermit, but as you can see, he is not in my studio at this moment. So maybe he will come and join us later, and that would be, of course, much appreciated, because without him, there's actually not really a show. That's to put it very bluntly. All right, so let me see that if there are a lot of people that are joining in. I see Amy, I see Hiram, I see Tanya, Jane, Gregor, Kathleen. Well, Kathleen was also reacting earlier. Let me put that on, because I asked you before I went live if you guys have something that you are interested in, and I have to switch to this camera. What you are interested in. So that is, and she actually said something, and that is the following. For anyone with Amazon Prime people on their gift list, the latest Fire Stick with remote is a great gift deal. And the Fire Stick is actually a Amazon Apple TV kind of ish product, I think. We don't have that here in Europe. Well, not well. Maybe we have that in UK. I see that. Paul is in the house. He's from the UK. Maybe he can say if that is there available. But I think it's there available, the Fire, but not on in the smaller countries like the Netherlands. But in Germany, René Christman is also in the house. Maybe he has that as well. Canada is in the house. Of course, she is in the house. That is, of course, um, Jane. That she was saying that earlier on. It seems that my comments are going in a little bit of a different area, but different sequence. But I'll just focus on something else then to make sure that I'm not doing quite some strange things. All right, let's delve into it. Let's talk about the show. So today, I thought it would be great. I mean, it's sort of December, so let's talk about the Christmas period. Um, it's only two or 3 weeks from here, and maybe in the meantime, please tell me: do you know what you want for Christmas? And if that is the case, then please put a yes in the comments so that we can at least see if that is the case. And if you don't, then please say no, because that's also interesting. Because why don't you know that? Don't you know that then? Okay. So the Christmas guide that I have is actually made up in like 2 or 3 parts: music, or more actually, music, video, games, and toys. And you actually see a few of them lying around here so that I can actually touch them while I talk about them. So that is definitely something that we will be doing. So first off, let's talk about music. And after the segment, I will come to you for your comments, okay? So please put them in, but please wait for the comments to arrive, because I will come to them definitely. So music, well, actually, it was not that difficult for me, because the first thing that came to my mind is, of course, the Sonos One speaker. I bought it just like 2 months ago, and well, not even 2 months ago, 1 month ago, and I actually have not one but two of them now. So I actually have a stereo set here in the studio, and they are amazing. Amazing in the sense that great sound. That is actually the most important thing, of course. The sound is the most important thing. But what's also fun is that the echo product is also incorporated. So if you say the keyword, you can actually say play from Spotify this music, which is really, really awesome. And it is really working great. The Spotify thing was not there when I unbacked it in the show. That was later in the show. So that is something that is interesting. Next up is another product, which is maybe you know that, maybe you don't, but that is the AirPods from Apple. Now, if you have a phone from Apple, like I have the iPhone 10 or the iPhone 8, like my dad has, these are really good products. Sorry, that's not what I wanted to say. They are really good, but that's not what I wanted to say. The AirPods, the AirPods that I was talking about, they actually link to these systems really great, and they're wireless, and you can actually also charge them within the case, which is really cool. And later in 2018, you can actually put them on a plate, and you can wirelessly charge them together with your Apple Watch, for instance, that I have here, and the iPhone 10 or 8, which I think is really, really great. Also, it works with the Apple TV, which is also really cool, because that means that you can actually watch a series or a film or a movie in the US, and then you don't have to, bother other people that you live with, because you are watching something, which I think is really, really cool. I want to come back to some comments that I see, because let me see. Yep, this is the first one. Jason says you are excited for the Apple home speaker coming out soon. Jason says, yes and no. So yes, I am excited for the prospect of it. The only thing is that I probably will not buy it. Why? Because I actually have a Siri device over here. I actually have two Sonos speakers, which are really great, that are actually also incorporated with Echo. So that is great, and to have another one there as well, that doesn't make sense. I do think that the quality of that product is really great, but they will probably be like the same as the um, Google Home Max, I think it's called. Yes, I think that's what it's called. So yes, I am excited for the prospect because I love that there's some competition going on, because that's always great for you as a customer. So yes, yes and no. Amy over at YouTube says, my Echo bot just responded to you. The keyword is actually not the other one. The other one is what is mine, so I'm not gonna tell that on the show at this moment, at least, which is kind of cool actually. Jordan, who's also in the house. Jordan, welcome, by the way. I want the Sonos One and Google Home as well. Well, the Google Home, there's also a Google Home Mini, which is, I think, also available for you in Canada. So maybe you can check that out. It's only 40, 45, $50. So that's something that might be something for you. Go moving on. Paul Dixon, Mr. Paul Dixon himself, he says AirPods are really great. So by that comment, I assume that you already own them. I don't yet, but I am planning to own a few of them. Well, a pair of them, because I really, really appreciate that. Matthew actually also has a little bit of a different remark. Matthew, also from Canada, by the way. If you like to listen to music, wireless earphones will change your life. Ooh, I like that comment, and I will definitely try to figure out if that is definitely the case. Um, Amy over at YouTube, she says, oops, I have to press the send button, of course. I have been thinking about getting AirPods, but I'm hesitating. It's $159. Yeah, it is a lot of money, I have to admit. So you have to be sure of that. Until now, I'm doing everything. I mean, even this is via a small cable, but it's barely noticeable because it's so thin. But yes, it is definitely a headphone which I have right there. So yes, I can imagine $159 is a lot of money, but yeah, just check if you want it. If you really appreciate music and you want to listen to music everywhere you are, then I think it's great. It's better than just having those, the other things popping up, and you know what I mean. Um, Paul, he just reacted as well. He says, I think you need to buy a wireless case, or of course buy a set with a wireless case. Oh, that I didn't know. So there are two different versions then of the AirPods. So that is an interesting one. So looking at the comments, you have the one without the wireless charging and one with wireless charging. That is an interesting one. So be careful with that if that is definitely the case. If that is the case. Um, oh, my dad actually has a question to Jordan. So maybe Jordan and my dad can have a conversation on this one. Can the Google Home and the Sonos one speak to each other? I think that is not the case, because that is only available for Amy, how can I say that? The Amazon one. Let's try it like this. Amy, there's a lot of comments coming in, so let's do the comments first. I didn't think about the AirPods working with the Apple TV. It's interesting. It is definitely interesting indeed. Paul Dixon, he says over at Facebook, Google Home Mini and Echo Dot both have good deals for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Yes, they had. So maybe check it out. But at least both of them are also not that expensive, right? They're like $50, and you have the same functionality as, for instance, the Google Home has. So you know, it's something that you can work on. It's the audio is less. That's a major thing. Um, so Matthew actually says, which I like that you guys are talking to each other. Amy, your ears are worth it, and that is, I love that comment because you guys are talking to each other. And Matthew says, I picked up two Google Home Minis when I was in Portland last weekend, $30 each. So it's really really cheap. Wow, there's a lot of comments coming in, but I still have quite a list to go through. So let's move on with the list. So we talked about the AirPods already. Next up is something that I would love to buy someday. I know that I've done that like last year, also around this time. Still didn't buy it. This now a year later, but this is my go-to um, record player. It's from the UK, called the company is called Riga, and you got a player 2 or 3. I'm not sure which one I want. This is the 3 that I put on the slide, but I really really would love to have these kind of things. But in all honesty, I also got a old record player from my uncle who unfortunately passed away. But that record player is 40 years old at least, maybe even longer, and it's really working quite well. You have to have some duct tape to be honest, but it's still working, and I really appreciate that. So that is something that I would love to buy one day when I have the money for it. Paul came back and he says that. You will have to put a gift guide on the site with all these pics. I like where you're going, Paul. Let's talk about that later, because I know that you are working on something, but which of course, oh, let's tease a bit. I love that. So there will be a list coming very shortly about what I have in this studio, so that it might be something that is interesting for you if you want to have your studio yourself, or at least have some ideas on how can you make this kind of video. So that is something that is might be coming. I'm not saying more than that. I actually just gave it away, but don't care. Okay, let's give it a few seconds. Right. All right. So now that's the music part. I think that there are just 3 of them, and for video I only have like 2 or 3 of them as well. So for video, it's a little bit different. So first of all, for video, before I come into this, actually a good phone like the iPhone 10, the LG V30 that I talked about for Tanya, who asked in the pre-show what kind of Android phone that she could do. That is also a great phone if you want to have video. So iPhone 10 is a great camera. Actually, the iPhone 8 also has a great camera. The only difference between the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10 is that the shock thing. Forget about the terminology now. It's just, but you know what I mean. If it makes it better. Forget about the terminology. Please help me with this because I know it's there. Jane actually wants to have lists, so that is great. We'll come up with a list. I'm sure of that. All right, let's move on to video. That is this one. All right. So video. Well, actually, I already talked about it. So the first thing about video is actually this one, the iPhone. The Apple TV. Not this one, but the Apple TV 4K HDR, where HDR is for high dynamic range, which makes the blacks more black, the whites more white, that kind of thing. So it is a really great way of viewing your favorite series, TVs. Granted, Android has also variant of this. For Apple TV, you have to, pay for your content, especially films and movies, and the amount of content that is not for free is limited. So that is a point of concern. If you have never owned an Apple TV, then this is really something for you. If you owned the previous version of the Apple TV, then that might be good enough for you. You have to have a 4K television, otherwise it doesn't make sense to buy this. So that's something that you need to take care of. If you buy this, also buy a good HDMI cable. You have to have a little bit more thickness in your HDMI cable to have the best results of that. Camera stabilization. Thank you, Tanya. That's great. Thanks. Face recognition, that's not what I meant, Jane, but thank you anyway. But indeed, camera stabilization. Thank you. Next up, 360. 2017 was the year of 360. They came really into the realm of consumers like you and me. They are starting to get in a quality that I really think that they're good for me. So, and I'm picky about these kinds of things. I would like to have good products. So this is, for instance, the Media Sphere 360, and that is one of the cameras. You have multiple cameras, but you have to be very careful. You have to check, for instance, especially for the stitching. So you have two cameras that are side by side. So if this would be a 360 camera, which is not, but still, then you have one camera that's pointing that way, one camera that's pointing that way, and right in the middle, right on top of this, you have some stitching going on, and you really need to take care of that stitching is done properly. And this camera, for instance, does that very nicely. So that's the reason why I put it on this slide deck. And actually, in all honesty, I think that I'm gonna buy this one because it's also not the most expensive one. And in all honesty, it's still a gadget at this moment. But you make cool stuff of it, like tiny planets, etc. That is really, really cool. Let me see. Amy, you actually reacted to the Apple TV. So she says, I have purchased an early version of Apple TV. Will probably purchase the 4K version too. All right. So if you have a 4K TV, that makes perfect sense. If not, then I would not recommend that to do that. But okay. And Jordan, he also has an Apple TV. He has an Apple TV 3 and a Roku, which is also a player like the Apple TV, but a different brand. And of course, there are multiple, so that is great. Thank you for your comments, by the way. Really appreciate that. So moving on, games. So I actually love playing games, but not. Let me go to full screen. I love playing games, but I'm an occasional gamer, which means that I'm not a gamer that that spends a lot of time before the television like this. That is not the way that I am. I love my PlayStation 4. I do play games on that, but that's typically during the winter. This is the winter. It's below freezing. So yes, at this moment in time, I play more video games. But during the summer, not so much. Spring, autumn, also not so much, but especially the winter. But for those months, actually, I really like to have something mobile because sometimes you just you're somewhere else. You have a little bit more time for yourself, and you want to play something. So in order to do that, I think that this is a new product of the last year. I think it was February, March, that time frame that it came out. And this is I actually have it, but I have not reviewed it. It's the Nintendo Switch. Review will be coming very shortly. The cool part of the Nintendo Switch is that you can actually play with like this. You can also put it into a cradle, and then you can play it on your full-fledged TV screen. And it's actually also one that you can also use for playing with friends. For instance, you can just swipe this one off, and the other one, like this, and you can put this monitor somewhere on the table, and then just play with two people because you have two joysticks that are roughly the same. So this is why I love this. It is so much flexibility in one system, and it's always available for to grab. And also with if friends with kids are coming in, I just give them this so that they can play something, which I like. And you can also put in a headset as well. So this is the Nintendo Switch. What I also like about this one is that typically the games that are on this are less bloody, so to speak. They're much nicer to look at for kids. So that is something that I really like. Let me see. Paul he reacted to the Nintendo Switch, and Paul is actually also very yeah. I'm not sure if you're a casual gamer or a gamer that does it a lot, but I know that you're a Nintendo fan, and this is really something that is for you. You will love this, especially Zelda is mind-boggling great, but I typically love simple games like like Pac-Man or something. So there are a few games on this. Let me try to see how they what they're called. Let me log on. There you go. And wait a sec. I'll just show it to you from the top. So like this. So here you have some games that I have. Let me get rid of the glare. So this is the first one is Fast RMX, which is a game where you need to race. Then you got Trumper, which is also a game where you have to be handy with all the buttons, and it's all about the correct sequence. Mario Kart, of course, you need to have Mario, and of course Zelda. And you can have them both on a cart, but you can also download it via the store on this device, which I think is really, really cool. So let me switch it off. So that's these are the games that I'm using, and I will also use those as a part of the review coming soon. Amy says, oops, come. Amy says that she is not a gamer, but her son and her husband both play PC games a lot. That is cool. Yeah, PC games, I totally can see that because I would love them too. The only thing is that I don't own a game PC. My streaming PC is very much a game PC, but I'm not using it for that. So that's the reason why not. That's over on YouTube, on Facebook. Paul says, random fact. If you have any games or cartridges, they are supported to taste really bad. They made them taste bad to prevent kids from swallowing. Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. Maybe I don't know if I have the full comments. So let me check if that is the full comments. Going here. So yeah, so for swallowing them to think, he says. Also, Paul says if you like older games, a SNES Mini would NES would be a good purchase. Actually, I have been looking at that, Paul, but I was not lucky, and it would take quite some time before it came, so I did not purchase it yet, but I will as soon as it comes available. So that is great. Thank you for the feedback. Let's move on. So that is the game. Hey, Kermit is in the house. Let me see if I can show it to you once he is on his bed here, but he's not there yet. But Kermit is in the studio at this moment, looking further to toys. So the toys, well, actually, I only put on one toy this time around, and that is the Sphero droids, which I actually have two of them. I've got R2D2 and I've got BB-8 right there. There. Eh, almost there. Yeah, BB-8 and R2D2. They are really great. I love playing with them. Just a few minutes every week until now. I actually played with them just because it's so funny. Especially R2D2. It's hilarious. He does exactly how he does things on the movie. He just falls over, that kind of thing. He falls over. It's really cool. It's really cool indeed. So that is the toys thing, and let me see. It's now 30, so I actually wanted to keep it short and sweet, but let me try to do the news in like 5 minutes or so, if that is okay with you. So because that's the end of the Christmas part, so to speak. I don't have the nice bumpers, etc. going on, so that's not there yet, but we'll see. So, talking about news. Well, the first news is that, let me remove this first, that Apple released a firmware update for the iPhone 8, 7, and 10 that prevents some problems with Apple Pay. Now, that is not a big deal here in the Netherlands, but it might be a big deal for you in the US. So that's the reason why I'm saying that. And talking about updates, and I'll keep it again into Apple. This is not going to be every time, I promise you. But you know, this just happens to be like this today. Is that Apple just released a security patch, which is very important. So I'm going to take some time here to explain that. So there is a bug in High Sierra where you can actually log on as root without any password. So that is very problematic. So if you have High Sierra, then please download it as quickly as possible because you don't want to get that problem. So that is something that I wanted to tell you. And last but not least, we already talked about it. I believe that Matthew was also talking about them because he purchased a few, the Google Home Minis. There is unfortunately a problem with them as well, and that is that as if you crank up the the audio on those systems, they might crash. Now they are still trying to figure out how that is possible. Where does it come from? They don't know yet. They are still trying to figure out where they come from, but it does happen occasionally. And but that's only if you crank up the audio a lot. So might not be a big problem for you guys. So I don't know that, of course. So those were yeah, that's it. So those were the quick news. I actually had a little bit more, but because of the time, I just wanted to wish you stop with this. But I have some other stuff to talk to you about. First of all, again, thank you for all those patrons here down below that you see, like Jordan, but there are more, like, for instance, if it comes, Kevin, and but let me go through a list of them. Stefan Campbell, Geeks Life, Echo Tapper, Jordan, Kevin, and Renee. Really appreciate you guys for being a Patreon and helping supporting the show. Another thing that I want to talk to you about is that next week I'm unfortunately not able to create a show for you guys because I am invited for some dinner with family, and you know what happened in October, and that's the family of my mom. So it's for me very important to be there, and that happens to be on the Saturday evening. This is Saturday evening for me, and therefore I'm not able to have a show. But you know, I will probably go live to say goodbye, say hi to you guys anyway, but I don't know when and where that will be. But I will be back, not next week, but the week after for sure. So that is something that I wanted at least to talk to you about. Oh wait, Matthew has a comment on these things. The Google Home Mini. I want an orange one. I got the black and the white one. Need the trio. Yes, definitely, Matthew. You need to have that trio. Absolutely, the thing. You really need that. You really do that. Need that. I have to admit. By the way, Matthew is a barber, so he is very visual oriented, I would assume. So I can imagine that you want to have that. Oh, Amy says she's gonna miss me. Well, I will miss you too, Amy, but I will be going live mobile somewhere at that in that day as soon as I can. Maybe when we're driving home or driving towards the dinner, I will be going live just to say hi and hang out for a bit. So don't worry, I will be there for you. No worries about that at all. Jordan has an interesting information. Alexa for Business has been introduced this week. I will look into that because I don't know what that means and what is possible with that, but it surely sounds very interesting. Thank you for that as well, Jordan. So that is it for this week. The patrons, I want to tell you something, and that is we will have a condo conversation after the show. I still need to put in a link for you guys, so give me 10 minutes, 15 minutes to distribute the links, and so that we can have a condo conversation and have some fun. So that is something that, for instance, if you support the show, we'll do once a month, guys. So that is also one of the perks if you do that, especially if it's a $10 and up, because the conversation is $10 and up. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate each and every one of you. It doesn't matter if you're a patron or not. You are I'm really happy with you being here, and I will see you next week on mobile and the week after for a show. Bye.